Hello, today I'm going to be teaching you how to work with this finance template that I made. It basically tracks your expenses as somebody who hates looking at finances but wants to be rich. So the first thing you're going to do is export your CSV of transactions. And this is from just your bank account, or like I exported all my credit cards and then all my checking accounts from multiple banks and multiple accounts. And you would want to copy paste the date and the description and amount into this sheet. I have a blank sheet here for you that you can work on, but I just want to show you an example. So this is what the CSV export looked like from my Amex card. And what I did was I went on like this and amount, because you only need those three. And I copied that and then I pasted it right here. Oops, I didn't actually copy, but I pasted it here. And then this is the tedious part. You want to look through everything here and categorize all your expenses, but it doesn't take that long, especially if you do this every month, and then just put all the source to be your Amex or whatever. Now, you want to create a pivot table. So after you have like all your January expenses, you highlight everything and then insert pivot table. And what that does is that creates something here where you can click and drag the category to rows, and then click and drag the date to columns. And then when you can sort it by month, create pivot table group month. And that shows you for January. Like you can select January if you want. And then the dollar amount that you spent will be under values. And I just filtered out all the blank cells here so it doesn't get messy. And then you can select this and click insert chart, and it creates a chart. I know I should be making a bar chart, but I just liked the colors of the pie chart here. And that kind of gives you a snapshot of your expenses so far. Especially if you do this every month, it shows you the expenses per month. Now at the end of the year, this is what your expenses will look like. So like you have all the Januaries, the Februaries, everything is there. You select everything and then make a pivot table again. And now you can see all the months are filled out. And what you want to do is, okay, this is what it looks like. What you want to do here is select the entire pivot table. So what I would do is go like this, everything except for the grand totals. And then I would put insert chart. And then that basically makes these charts. So if you just want the amount spent per month, I had to make a separate pivot table for that actually, because I couldn't figure out how to do it with these categories ones. So I did that. But if you wanted to get categories of spend, like in general throughout the year, you would select the categories and the grand totals. If you want the month by month pie chart breakdown, which I know it's not an efficient way to visualize data, but that's what I liked. So what I did was, again, the whole pivot table, selected all of this, and then I clicked insert chart. And in the setup, you can see like this is the date range, the data range of this entire table. And I would just set the value to be the specific month that I want. And then you would just make copies of that table and select a new month. So that way, like travel always stays blue. Like you don't have to redo the colors every time. Now, a more efficient way to visualize this is using this chart. So again, you can see I selected the entire data range of that pivot table and I created a stacked column chart. So you can see the blue, there's a lot of blue going on because I spent a lot of money on travel. Also, this kind of exposes my finances a lot. So all I did was I copy pasted these graphs into this dashboard area. To get income, I don't know. This is just like, it gets kind of messy here with tax and everything, but you would just put the rough estimate anyway, because, you know, getting the exact numbers is your accountant's job, and this rough estimate, it just helps you understand your finances more and be less scared of them because there's pretty graphs in pastel colors. So I made a pivot table, did the same thing. So like I put the first of every month and then selected everything, made a pivot table, and then I created a pivot table date group and sorted it by month, and then made this chart. So I selected everything here and made the chart and then pasted it here. Then for total earned versus expenses, And for this graph with the expense versus income, I actually had to make a new sheet for this because I couldn't figure out an easier way to do that. So I just copied all the expenses and then I selected the category expense and I did Command Shift down and then Command D, and then it copied this expense cell across every single cell down there, and it ended here. And then I copied all the income stuff, and then I did the same thing. So I selected income and then Command Shift down arrow and then Command D to copy it across all of the income stuff. It was more helpful for expenses because I had a lot more of those. And then again, I just selected everything, inserted a pivot table, and then selected this expense and income by month, inserted a chart, and then I made this area chart because it looks cool. I like the colors. And then I put expenses in red, income in green, except this month I had to pay a bunch of taxes. I don't know. This is probably not the right way to do this, but it's just what makes sense to me. And you're making this for yourself to understand and work on your goals anyway. So all of that is these charts. Sorry if I'm speaking too fast, by the way. Like, you can slow down this video. It's just I didn't realize that this ADHD speed was like fast to normal people. It was always normal speed to me. Anyway, these charts are just for aesthetic purposes to keep track of every month. Whereas these charts are like the actual charts that give you most efficient data understanding. Okay, so that's the charts. The next part is this finance goals template. Basically, you can set your goals based on the expenses from last year. What I did was I literally exported the CSV of all my transactions from the previous year, and that, like, I did that in 2 or 3 hours. For you, it's probably like 1 or 2 hours because it's just like I had to sort out how to even make the template. So you have the template now, you can do this very easily. And you, based on the expenses from previous years, you can be like, okay, I want this goal this year. I want the expenses to be lower. I want the income to be higher. And then you can try to see the categories. So if you look here, I'm exposing my finances to like way too much, but like here you can see I spent 51.1% of my money on travel. And this is everything. Like, when I'm traveling, it includes eating out, all the accommodation, like hotels, all the flights, everything related to travel. So I was like, okay, let me reduce that to 16.7% this year. And I also think I spent too much on donations and gifts. Well, mostly donations, because the gifts that I make are like $30 scrapbook stuff. It's always handmade. But I feel like I need to secure myself first before anything else. And I ate out way too much as well. So I put all that in my goals. I'm like, okay, I need to reduce the eating out from like 10% to 5% because this is way too much. And here I have all the numbers that I grabbed from my spreadsheet here. And every single month, I just do this. I export my, here, you can see this blank expenses sheet. I export everything here so I can see month by month. And then I'm like, oh wow, January, I bought some flights and stuff because I'm traveling with my sister. But then I also saw that I spent a lot on gym stuff and physio. So I was like, okay, I need to, like, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't have known that. So I need to fix that. So if you just do this every month, you can improve on the previous month. Like, if I spent too much at the gym this month, I'm like, okay, how can I improve this next month? Let me make some changes. So the first step to improving is measuring. So I hope you find this finance template useful.